What's going on, everybody? It's Childish. We're back at it again, bringing you another update with regards to Summoner's War. They have recently dropped the Guild Siege Battle. It has been implemented into the game, so a lot of things are going on in the next couple of days between all the guilds out there. Of course, getting the members, but more importantly, creating all the different offenses and defenses that you're going to be utilizing in your particular setup. Now, one thing that I wanted to make note about this is that with regards to the style of bases, there's going to be some bases that you can use any monster, but then there's going to be some bases where you have to use, natural 4-star monsters to take them out, as well as, ones to use on defense here. So what this is going to bring to the mix here, we got basically an opportunity to really take a look at all the different units out there that we could potentially build to go ahead and utilize. And for me, personally, the one thing that sticked out the most is the fact that the aspect of Oblivion, which is a strong counter to any, or hard counter to anybody that has a passive, is not going to be able to be used, right, in the natural 4-star and under defenses. So I believe that the Guild War defenses can get a lot more value out of the passive based units. So what we're going to be doing between today and the next few videos is basically breaking down each element, talking about some of these units that have passives, and maybe possibly see if they would be decent on defense, or maybe just, utilize them on offense. Because again, without the Tesarion up in there, you're going to be able to take advantage of these and get a lot of value out of it. So, and when I say value out of it, when we think about the units in and of itself, right, most of these units, the majority of these units have 3 skills. There's a handful of them that have 4, right? So when we're thinking about the defense and not being able to control it, ultimately it's going to be up to RNG. However, because of the fact that these units are going to have passives, right, this is going to take up their 3rd skill. They're going to have 1 or 2 skills to use, a 50% chance to use the skill that you essentially want versus a 33% chance via 3 skills, right? So keeping that in mind, the fact of the matter is, with regards to these units that you're going to be bringing, there's more opportunities or a better chance of you to use the skill that you actually want. And some of these monsters actually have extremely low cooldowns on the set, so making them very, very viable for what you're trying to do in the Guild War Siege. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to break it down here. I'm just going to talk about the fire units today. I'm going to probably start with the ones that I feel like obviously are going to be very, very strong when it comes to these setups here. And then we'll veer off talking about some of the honorable mentions, some of the 3-star units that do have passes, but, probably are not going to be utilized. So again, let's get right into it. The first few are probably going to be my top 3, 4, 5 out of there. Without question, there really is no monster that can beat this particular monster when it comes to Guild War defense, and that is Kamun. Okay, so again, I'm not going to get too into detail on it. I think everybody knows about this one, but of course, it's bringing a speed lead, it's bringing the hit point disturb, it's bringing a very, very strong skill that can do a ton of damage, especially when the unit is a little bit lower. You can see the damage will increase as the enemy's HP becomes lower, and then of course, this particular skill will deal take 50% of that damage you dealt and give you a heal, be able to heal you up. So you got a way of keeping you alive between this life tap here, and then you have Savior, the passive, that's going to provide a shield based on 20% or 26% if you have it maxed out of your max HP. So again, really, really, really strong unit. There really is no reason why you guys should not be using this on your defense. This is by far one of the #1 non-natural 5-star Guild War defense monsters. I mean, without question. Okay, so super strong monster. If you got this unit, you definitely need to build it. Will it do a little bit better when it's skilled out on the 2nd? Most definitely, but I still think it is viable due to the fact that we're talking about passives, and that particular passive is going to be regenerating a shield on the unit with the lowest monster, essentially keeping those situations at bay that get a little bit too critical at the very end. Okay. Next one up that I got on the list, we're going to be moving to the 3-star category. This is Raccoon, the Fireheart. Again, this is another one that truly needs some introduction. Probably one of my favorites, natural 3-stars today. Once again, no leader score on this particular one, but we do have that resurge mechanic here, Rabbit's Agility, that's going to provide the attack bar to max and the attack speed. And then this passive, Little Hummingbird, removing up to 2 harmful effects on the ally with the lowest HP, and healing that ally for 10%. So again, another type of passive heal similar to Kamun, but instead of an actual shield, you're getting a heal. In addition to that, if these particular people are working on a monster here, they're going to be able to cleanse some of those harmful effects that are on them, up to 2, right, on that particular one. You know, the only downside is because somebody that's going to be coming at you is going to be on the offensive, they can kind of pick and choose who they want to attack and bring another unit down a little bit in health so that they can maintain maybe some of those inability effects on those other monsters. However, this particular unit is super strong. If you're rocking a violence set on it, you're going to go through the cycle super quick. Again, this is a 5-turn cooldown. It's going to be reduced 2 times. I believe it actually goes down to 2, if not 3. But it is super strong. There's really no reason for you not to have it in your arsenal. And again, we have so many defense that we're going to have to incorporate in the siege battle. This is by far an amazing unit that you guys need to take advantage of, okay? Next one up on my list, we're going back to the 4-star category, which has definitely got a little bit more hype in the PvP, like the RTA world, but I feel like it can play a role. Now, it can play a role if you do need some RNG in your comp to do it. So again, Antares, this is probably one that you may have thought been on the list, but maybe not so high. So the Fire Lich, okay, his main skills, right? Attack-based monster. We got the opportunity to provide the attack speed 2 to 3 times. We have an absorption of the attack buff at 50% with the hits. And then, of course, you can see here, we're going to recover 50% of the inflicted damage. So again, another way of being able to life tap. But of course, the thing that we're taking a look at, Transcendence, gains a turn with a 50% chance whenever an enemy turns ends. So, and of course, on top of that here, you have the attack power and critical rate improved. So what does this mean? This gives you an opportunity to literally, you know, cut in between your opponent and be able to get off your skills. Because of the fact that this is super strong, you got the attack buff and critical rate coming at bay on this one. This gives you an opportunity to blend the build that you do, make it into kind of a hybrid setup, and take advantage of the attack buff and the critical rate buff that you're going to be getting. And then, of course, it does have an AoE mechanic. So because of that, I definitely would recommend rocking the Despair set on here. Again, even though you could, you know, take advantage of it without the Despair set and be fine, I feel like it's one of those units that really kind of goes along in that RNG aspect, you know, similar to like an Orion or whatnot here. He's too strong with his mechanic not to play around with a Despair set, especially when you can cut in between, maybe catch somebody off guard that's not rocking Will and get a couple of clutch stuns when they're not expecting it. So again, this is a really unique monster, and the cool thing about this, guys, is these passive-based monsters, it takes up that 3rd spot. So again, it's not going to be too hard to get them skilled up, so you can take quite a bit of value out of it. This is definitely one that if you have, you know, your liches already utilized in Necropolis V10 and you don't need any more skill ups and you have some extra ones, I would definitely use it, because the cool thing about this is when you gain that extra turn, right, the cooldown reduction will come into play. So, you know, the more turns you do or you get in between each fight, the more the Synco goes around. And again, this is one that you definitely want to, you know, take advantage of as much as you can. So really nice skill. Again, Antares, super fun in Guild War as well as RTA. So again, I hope you guys can take advantage of that if you're looking for a fire-based monster that you want to throw a little RNG into the mix there. Next one up is going to be right in there in the 4-star category. We have Mr. Trevor. I think he is the Fire Neostar fighter that is apparently hiding up in here. Here he is. So Trevor, the Fire Neostone fighter. You guys have seen a ton of videos on my end. I am really loving this unit. Okay, so again, of course, the leader skill is not going to be able to come into play on this aspect there, but we got the first skill that's going to do provide some, you know, hit 2 times to provide the attack power for 2 turns. We have the skill Relentless Strike on the second. It's going to give us the critical rate buff and then do some really good damage. Really great multiplier. And then, of course, the Brawler's Will. As your HP decreases, the damage inflicted to the enemy will increase and the damage you receive will decrease. So this is super strong. You know, pair this with, you know, units that provide the shields or have, you know, some kind of defense leader skill or provide a defense buff. It's going to be extremely hard to take Trevor out. And then, of course, depending on how you decide to build it, if you're playing around with the vampire set, or maybe you have a comp that already has enough heals and you want to incorporate a violence set so that he can go ham, this is one of those units that will definitely really change the outcome of the match, because of the fact of when they try to target him, if they can't kill him, they definitely have to watch out for him, because he can put up some numbers. Again, the amount of damage mitigation that he does is so strong when it comes down to those last 25, 20 or 50 or 25%. So you can really get a lot of value out of this. And again, pairing it with certain units that provide those defensive leader skills or defensive buff, you're going to get much more value out of his passive. And of course, we cannot deny the fact that having a unit that's going to provide his own attack buff and critical rate is super strong. If you're running the revenge set on it, you can take advantage of that and generate that attack buff through that matter. Of course, you could do it on the regular skills, but again, there's multiple ways to get yourself back into square one, get those attack buffs and critical rates up so that you could do a ton of great damage. So again, Trevor is up there in my top 4, top 5 category. I really love this monster, and I hope you guys find a lot of value out of it. You know, one of the things that I'm kind of contemplating is pairing him. If I can't use Camus, because I'm going to be using Camus for a while, I'm looking at the Wind Mermaid. Cichlid, I think is how you pronounce it here. Because Cichlid has a 2-turn shield, has 2 types of buff removal, a defense break, and a cooldown reset. So a lot of different mechanics that could set up Trevor to do well, and then if Trevor gets in a bad situation, he can, you know, get back to square one with that shield. Again, the shield paired with him is going to keep him alive, but allow him to take advantage of that defense mitigation that's going to be coming into play when his hit points are low. So I like the kind of, I like him paired with a shield-based unit that can provide that. But either way, I'm really down for that. Okay, let's see. Next one up that I got, and these next two kind of finishing out, I'm going to kind of pair them both up as top 5 because I really don't think that they are going to be super OP. But again, when we start to look at what, you know, CompTOS has set up and the amount of units that we're going to have to make, I feel like there's going to be a ton of great units that we're going to be able to build. But of course, there's going to be some units that we're going to have to try to use that maybe we already built and might be good options for us. So the first one that I want to kind of point out is going to be Hua. Hua is obviously just an amazing monster. People use it for so many different aspects of the game. You know, everyone knows what her skill does. Burning Whip, the enemy's attack bar reduction by 25%, and then the opportunity to strike again with a 25% chance, or sorry, a 20% chance. So pair that up with a critical rate leader skill. It's super nice. We have the slows, we have the continuous damage. Again, she can put out some numbers, and of course, this recent skill has been, you know, improved so that it scales over speed. You know, if you create some kind of Guild War defense that's going to be set up with like a speed lead and the right, you know, harmful effects to take advantage of her, I mean, she's going to do some wonders. However, here's the downside of it, and this is why I didn't put it really high up. It's one of those units that we use in a ton of different aspects of the game. You might be using this for Rift of Worlds. You might be using this as your last monster to go in the Necropolis B10. So, you know, if you have it, you know, set up to go at the very end of your B10, you know, MB10 run, you're not going to have a lot of speed. Where this is a particular monster, you have to really, you know, build with a high amount of speed to take, you know, a lot of value of it. Furthermore, you're going to have to consider the fact that whatever composition you make, you're going to have to speed tune it to take advantage of your opponent. Like, if this is going to be a speed-based monster, I generally would try to create a comp that's essentially set up to get the first turn so that you can basically knock them out. Something like a Gemini Hua X, where X can essentially manipulate the fight in some way so that you can, you know, just take somebody out really quickly. You can take advantage of the buff removal and the defense break from Gemini, and then, of course, you know, have her fill in the void and do some great damage. Again, do you run it on a violent set? Do you run it on a broken set? A lot of people are going to be using a broken set on this one for Rift of Worlds. I've seen some people use a violent set on her, but, you know, but the fact of the matter is this particular passive is so strong. Like, I mean, you're going to get a lot of value out of regardless if you have a violent set or not. So again, really unique monster, but again, I don't know if it's going to be one of those that are going to be super high on the defensive side. Maybe on the offensive side, you know, being able to control the match, the attack bars that you want to do, but still worth mentioning because I feel like it's a pretty decent monster. That's one of the old school monsters. Let's keep it with the old school, and then I'll finish off with one of the new school 4-stars here that everyone's kind of talking about. Vertihil. Childish, what are you doing? Oh my God, stop what you're doing right now. Like, this is 2014. You can't be rocking this stuff no more. Again, what I'm trying to get at is simply for the fact that we have to create a ton of different defensives now, and some of those are going to be those natural 4-star defense. And you know, honestly, you never know what kind of opportunities you're going to have, what kind of monsters you have. And this is one of those monsters that I do feel if you're like me, that you got your one Vertihil and then you built them, you're set, and then now you have these 14 Vertihils sitting in your monster box that haven't just basically been collecting dust, waiting for the light and dark Nat 5, right? You're not being able to take full advantage of it. So, you know, when I think about the old school, and let's talk about that, the old school Guild War defenses like 2014, 2015, we used to rock the Veramos Vertihill Bella, right? And of course, it seems kind of silly, right? Because Veramos can't be using it. But again, hear me out. The reason why this was super, super cool is because, again, generally when people think of Vertihill, they think of it as relatively squishy. They think of it as trying to, be high critical rate, and it's going to be doing, it's going to be relatively, fast or essentially speed tuned because, they use it for the DB10. However, if it was a target, one of the things that people use to kind of trap others is, incorporate a very, very hybrid type of approach with like a triple revenge set. Because with regards to the revenge proc, if you counterattack, you are still able to get value out of this passive. You're still able to generate the attack bar that you can gain by the critical hit. So that is a great way of basically stealing some turns, getting a little bit of attack bar for your party. So it worked really well because of the fact that Veramos, he has the cleanse, he has the stuns. You got Bella coming in there with the defense breaks, the attack bar manipulation on her third skill. A lot of ways of generating turns and a lot of ways of getting your units to cycle the skills that you want them to cycle. Of course, Veramos having that passive as well. So again, he's either using his main, skill, which is speed base, or his, AoE stun, which is super strong. So this could be one, again, to play around. Maybe you're creating some kind of a YOLO comp or something that you can, generate a ton of turns. There have been a ton of people out there utilizing certain 3 to 4 star compositions that take advantage of attack bar manipulation. One, for example, was Olivia Raccooni Bulldozer. It seemed really silly, but again, the fact of the matter is they are now creating compositions that are built for the Guild Wars, so they're putting some of their greatest, runes on them to catch people off guard, making them super fast or super tanky, things that people are not going to be able to expect, and they just do a ton of damage with those comps because, again, even though they only have one monster for doing damage, they just have too many mechanics of attack bar manipulation on their end, on the positive side or the negative side by means of like Olivia or like a Hua that can generally basically, allow them to catch up and just do a lot of damage here. So Vertihill could be a potential monster, but again, if you're sitting there with one Vertihill, obviously you're not going to want to break the build of it down because you're going to utilize it in your DB10 speed runs if you already do. If you don't, maybe you don't have a speed DB10 run right now, and you have a couple of Vertihills that you want to go ahead and build up, might as well take advantage of it. Just keep in mind that this is one of those that, again, regardless if you're building it, outside of it for Guild War defense, I still would not try to max out the second skill so that you can have more opportunities to use the first skill, okay? The next one is more of a new school with the recent update here. Gale, Guild War defense, is Gale viable? Man, this is the controversial question that I don't want to answer, simply for the matter of, his passive. When you think about it on the defensive end, you already know what can counter it. You're looking for multi-hits. You're looking for units that can essentially hit him multiple times to be able to take it out. Now, because of the fact that people are coming on the offensive, they're looking at your defense and they're creating a composition to take him out, and they feel like they can take you out with confidence. However, depending on the composition that you bring, if it has some kind of attack bar manipulation, if you're pairing it with like a Raccooni, for example, you may find yourself in situations more often than not to, depending on how you create your composition, that you can take advantage of this. If you're essentially finding other ways of generating attack bars outside of his passive, you might be able to keep him alive. However, again, it's not up on the top of my list. I feel like it is pretty counterable, but the reason why I got to put up there is, if you guys haven't seen in the previous video, somebody did incorporate a natural 4-star. I think they had a 1 5-star monster, but they did incorporate a composition with Gale on defense, and actually we're getting some defense successes to my surprise here. So again, this is a very interesting monster. Ton of mechanics there. We got the attack speed, or damage according to the attack speed, we're probably the continuous damage. But again, this 2-turn gets brought down to a 2-turn, so 2-turn time to stun. Really unique there. I think it can find a lot of value. Even if you don't use it on the defensive side, keep it around, because I think it will do wonders for you on the offensive side. Okay. Outside of that, those were the big, ones that I wanted to go ahead and mention. Again, the top 4 being Kamoon, Raccooni, and Teres and Trevor, and then the Hua, Gale, Vertigo. They're kind of in that medium range where like they could be used, but I think there's too many counters, or you're using them in other aspects of the game. But just for some honorable mentions here, for some other unique passes, we got Gene the Fire, Phantom Thief, Old Grudge, attack bar increase when your HP is higher than 50%. Again, this is one of those where I don't think it's going to be viable, just simply for the fact that it's just too hard to keep him at bay. If you got a vampire set, you can keep it alive. He does have some great numbers, but again, he's a single target squishy nuker, and he just doesn't provide enough utility for me to find him useful for the Guild War defense. He does have the stun, right? And he does have, I mean, he has two ways of stunning, but again, it is single target. And when I think of single target, it's so hard, it's so easy to set him up or basically force him, create a composition to force him to attack a person you want to attack and not really worry about everybody else. Again, cool monster though. I mean, obviously, a lot of us out there in the game that's been playing the game for a while, we have a ton of these Phantom Thieves sitting here if you didn't feed them already to the lightning legendary scroll pieces that you can get. But again, just got to throw it out there because he does have a passive here. Now, this one, again, we don't even want to throw this one in here. I might be getting ahead of myself. If somebody incorporates this in the team, like, GG, bro. But this is one that you see this utilized in the arena defensive side. Sacrifice a passive. It'll sacrifice yourself and remove all harmful effects and then fully recover the HP of all allies. Again, it's kind of a one-hit wonder. Once it's gone, it's gone. So if you don't have some other kind of monster to revive and get it back in there so that you can kind of reset, I don't feel there's going to be a lot of value in Guild Wars. Next one here, moving on to the 3-star categories, I think it's Kugo, the Fire Golem. So again, you guys are just like, why are you even talking about this? Again, we're bringing up all the passives. You never know which kind of monsters people will, kind of get into, when they start, building new units for this defense here. So again, I couldn't find him because I never built him, right? Kugo, the Fire Golem, his one is similar to the water one as well. Reduces incoming damage by 40% when your HP falls below 50%. So, again, really, really unique passive if it's paired with, the right defensive lead or shields. Like we've seen in a recent video with Math Plus Games, utilizing that shield with defense scaling monsters and unique passives. Sure, he could be, relatively tanky, but I don't think he provides enough utility. Yes, he has a provoke and stun, but the second skill is kind of lackluster here. Continuous damage for 3 turns. Ain't nobody got time for that. So again, he definitely is not, a strong advocate for people to go ahead and build. Next one though, we have Sonora, the Fire Mummy. Again, not a great monster to use. This burning body doing 30 more damage, but returns 30 back to the attacker. Sure, it's nice, but again, once it's out of the question, it is done, it is over. And so I feel like while this could be, kind of unique with regards to, arena defenses for certain mid to late, level ADs or whatnot, depending on how you build your console build, I don't think it has a place in the NAT for Guild War defenses. But again, if you're out there and you want to prove me wrong, go for it, my man. Go for it. All right. Next one on the 3-star list, we got Iron, the Fire Mummy. Iron, the Fire and Living Armor. Honestly, I had to look this one up because I didn't even realize he had a passive. Lava Armor. Your max speed is increased proportionally to the defense that you enter the battle with. So again, I do like the living armors and such that they have that stun and they have the attack speed decrease on this one here. But I still don't, and the defense break, right, as well. I still don't feel like this passive is worth your time to go ahead and build. I feel like if it had any kind of use, I think it would have been built many, many moons ago, but unfortunately it's kind of overlooked considering some of the other living armors in that family that just do so much better with regards to their overall kits, the light, the dark, and the wind one respectively. The next one on my list, we got Jeffrey, the totally 2000 late here, Jeffrey the Fire Viking, if I can find him here. Now he had the Marauder passive, which can steal 1 beneficial effect. Of course, recovers HP by 30%, so it has a built-in vampire with the stealing. Interesting, love, it's cool, but it's, again, his skills are, one-hit skills, right? So that's, one opportunity to steal 1 beneficial effect. If he had some multi-hits, that would be kind of interesting, but of course, we already have a unit like that by means of chilling to be able to steal those beneficial effects. So chilling is way, way better. Like, this is kind of like the poor man's chilling, right? So again, definitely not viable. Stay away from it. I would never ever build this one. Next one up was a unique one that, kind of reminded me of the Chow. We have Garrosh, the Fire Werewolf here. It has that passive that gives the HP every turn, similar to Chow, and the recovery effects that you receive, keeps him, is increased by 100%. So he can really, really get healed up, good. But again, the good thing about Chow is his skills The damage multipliers are extremely good, whereas this one here, if you're building them relatively tanky, you only got one skill that's going to be doing damage proportionate to the max HP. This one here is essentially a waste. You're not getting a lot of value out of it. So this is why this one's not going to find any use in the Guild War defenses. There's going to be way more monsters that are going to be utilized all too well. And then last but not least, we have the one, the only Mr. Rogue Beast Mode. Again, if there was a definition of RNG somewhere, you know, in the game, online, whatever, like, he would be the one to do it, right? Annihilate, passive, right? Extra turn if you kill the enemy. And then, of course, you have the opportunity to get additional attacks with a 30% chance. We have seen a ton of videos out there on my channel, on YDTV channels, on everybody's channel, seeing what this unit can do when it goes ham, right? But again, it's one of those things where this is generally to see a ton of value out of this. He's got to get those additional attacks, but again, he has to do a little bit of damage to back it up, because you need to be able to kill the monster in order to take advantage of this passive, right? So I feel like because of the fact that he's going to be built in an attack-based fashion, you're not going to be able to really take advantage of it, because again, it's going to be super squishy and people can target it and take it out really quickly. But either way, I do feel like it could be a fun monster to play around with on the offensive side. We've seen people time and time again utilize it, so it's just super fun. Really unique passive, one of my favorite monsters to date here. So that is pretty much it, guys. There may have been another monster out there with the passive. If I missed it, you're more than welcome to put it in the comment section down below, and we'll do a little debate to talk about why or why not it may work. But again, I hope you guys enjoyed this series. If I haven't said it enough already, thank you guys so much for your support. Really looking forward to making the next few videos on this. What I'll probably go ahead and do is make a water video, and then of course a wind video. And then I'll combine light and dark together, so you guys have like 4 episodes throughout the week. Again, if you're seeing this video right now, the reason why I'm making this, I'm making this video during the time that I'm over in LA right now. We're getting ready for the World Arena Championship Finals. So again, I'm obviously not going to be able to get to your comments right away. I'm going to try to get to them as soon as I humanly can. But if it so happens to be this video dropping right around that time, I just want you guys to know before you're sitting there like, hey, why haven't you got back to it? So again, this is, I'm really having fun with this video series, guys. If you really do like it, if you do enjoy it, please feel free to smash that like button. Let your friends know. I hope this could be useful for them, because again, when new events come out like this guild siege battle, stuff like that, it's so cool. Like, this is the best time for people to just have fun with the game. We got refreshing content, but more importantly, we're forced to be able to build and create new monsters that's going to create an overall new meta for the Summoners War community in different aspects of the game. But of course, more importantly, the one we're talking about, which is the Guild Siege Battle. Very excited about that. Again, what are some of your top ones with regards to passives, and which ones do you like the best? Put it in the comment section down below. I'm definitely looking forward to hearing your feedback, okay? That's going to be it, guys. Thank you all so much for tuning in. It's your boy Childish for Childish Plays. Check it out. Take care, and we will see you guys in part 2 featuring the water-based units with the passes.